Setting out the bees, March 2018. In March of 2017, we began with one hive. This year, on March 30th, we put in 4 new bases, and then on the 31st, we put in our 4 new hives and are ready to go for a new season. To begin to prepare the bees for insertion into the hive, we see Reese spritzing down the bees with a combination of water and sugar. This helps dampen their wings so they're less likely to fly away. When he's done spritzing this one side, he hands the bottle over to Uncle Chad, turns it around so he can get the second side. Chad is spritzing down his side, preparing to begin to open the package of bees. This is what is known in the apiary business as a 3-pound box of bees. It contains approximately 5,000 bees and, of course, the queen. Before opening it, Chad makes sure that Reese is ready with the spritzer because we don't want any more bees to escape than absolutely necessary. So Reese is spritzing it down, and Chad will begin to release the queen. Chad is currently removing the queen chamber. You can see, of course, that all the worker bees have surrounded the queen and they're trying to get to the queen, but she is safely encased in her own private chamber so that none of the worker bees can get to it. He hands the chamber off to Reese while he opens up a bag and pulls out a little marshmallow. I'll tell you more about the use of the marshmallow in just a second. We'll watch Reese while he strips away the worker bees that are still attempting to stay on the chamber and get to the queen so that they can attend to her. Meanwhile, Chad is just spritzing off bees off himself. This is a time when the bees are very active and very disturbed because of our disturbing the queen. He hands the chamber back to Uncle Chad. Chad is making sure that the queen is in there, is healthy, alive, and doing well. And now he's beginning to pry off, on the very top of this chamber, a little round plug that prevents the queen from escaping her chamber. As you watch him, he will pick up that little marshmallow that I told you about earlier, and he's very gently holding his finger over the hole so the queen can't escape, and replugging the hole with that marshmallow so again the queen cannot escape. Now he's going to take the chamber and he's going to place it inside the hive. You can see that there are 3 frames on either side of where he's placing the queen chamber. These are what are known as wet frames because they were used last year by our prior bees, and they have developed their own combs, and there's remnants of some honey in there, and that's a good start for the worker bees. The next step in the process is to add the worker bees into the hive. Remember, this is a 3-pound pack containing approximately 5,000 worker bees. He needs to gently shake and tap the box to get as many of the worker bees out as they can. Of course, they're busy trying to cling to the box. Now he's going to dust off the bees, and here we can see a close-up of that chamber that I told you about. Notice that the worker bees are already beginning to attend to the queen, and if you look carefully here, you'll be able to see the queen that they're trying to reach. On the top of this chamber is that marshmallow that Chad put in, and what the worker bees will be doing in the next several hours is they'll be working at eating through that sugary marshmallow and allowing the queen to come free. Reese is grabbing 2 more of the wet frames and he's going to insert them into the hive box where Chad has just dumped the worker bees and hung the queen. He gets the first 2 in. There's a fair amount of room. Now he's going to grab the 3rd frame after he gets that settled in just right, and he's going to insert this third frame. Inserting this third frame is critical because he doesn't want to harm any of the worker bees as he puts it in. The next step is he's going to add what is known as the queen excluder. This piece of metal has bars that are designed just the perfect length apart so that a worker can fly through, but the queen cannot. Reese puts it on, and he's being very careful not to crush any of the worker bees and make sure that it's aligned just right. Uncle Chad will come along and double check, make sure it's aligned properly. The next step is Reese will grab what is known as a top. Notice the hole that looks like a hand holding area on it. This allows the worker bees to fly upward into the next chamber. Reese will take a couple of small sticks and lay them on top. Uncle Chad is holding in his hands a jar of sugar water, which will be a temporary food source until there's enough pollen and nectar available in the neighborhood for the bees to feed themselves. He places the jug down, bees can come up, grab the nutrition. Now he's putting an empty box on top, and Reese will come along shortly with the top, and that will complete the construction of the hive for the early spring. He needs to put a brick on top so that if we do have strong winds like we had the day we put this out, that the top won't come off. Thank you for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed our 4 new hives.